Hello. So there's a video going around at the moment that's a bit like the ice bucket challenge, if you remember that. Basically, you answer 10 questions about video games and then you stitch two other people up by asking them to do a video answering the same questions. And it's come around to me thanks to ZX Tetley, who's a great guy. And because he asked, I'm doing it. I think otherwise I'd have done my best to avoid it. This is not my thing. Apologies for the mess. I'm very conscious about that. It's one of the reasons, another one of the reasons why I don't like to do these sort of videos really is that I can't keep my room tidy enough. But yes, I'm going to have a go at this. Hopefully it's interesting enough. And then I'll think about who's tag, which I probably won't mention in this video because I want to think about it a bit. So I've made some notes. If I'm looking off to the side a little bit, it's because I'm looking at those notes. But I haven't scripted anything, so this is pretty much off the cuff. So, question one is, what sort of games do you like to play? And it's a hard one to answer because I get enjoyment out of most types of games. I think I tend to favour story-driven games, or at least they're the ones that I've put the most time in. So both the Red Dead Redemptions, for example, hooked me big time. I've played a game called Brothers, I think it was, on the Xbox, which I really enjoyed as a story, taking me through. Also like quick and easy arcade type games. So a couple of examples of those that I like to play. If I go to Play Expo, I'll always seek out the Super Cassette Vision they have there because they always have mine a 2049er there, which I really enjoy playing. I could probably sit and play that one for hours. And they normally have the Congo Bongo arcade machine there. I quite like playing that one, and in fact I've had the top score on that for about 4 years at that event. So if it's there this year at Blackpool, check it out, see if you can beat my score, because it's been on there way too long and I'm not very good at games, so why is it so high? I'm also going to mention 2 football games. Now I know we're not supposed to talk about football games because they're taboo. But I mean, the reality is I like football games, always have done since I was a kid, really. And the 2 I want to mention are Football Manager, which was Championship Manager back in the Amiga days. I want to mention that one because it absolutely sucked the life out of me, really, that game. It was all I played. Absolutely obsessed with it. I used to have my laptop at the dinner table playing it. And I had to stop and go cold turkey, basically. Yeah, so it's just one of them that's so very addictive that I had to go cold turkey on it. And I'm going to also mention Ultimate Team, which is a game mode in the more recent FIFA games. And I know everyone rolls their eyes at FIFA, but Ultimate Team, that grabbed me. I didn't play FIFA much, really, because I got a bit bored of it, playing against the computer on FIFA. I don't like playing online, I'm not very good at it. Playing against the computer on FIFA gets boring pretty quick. But Ultimate Team really appealed to me because it's a collecting thing, really. It's like deck building. And yeah, absolutely grabbed me, that one. I had to go pretty much cold turkey on that one as well recently, just so that I didn't spend all my time doing it. Yeah, so that's the answer to question 1 anyway. Question 2, how much time do you spend playing games? I'd say right now it's less than an hour a week. If we don't include sort of fiddling about with puzzle games on my phone or whatever. Normally it's I have a quick blast on the C64 because I'm trying to document my collection, and the way I'm doing that is trying to record gameplay of every game as I play them. I don't really play those games for too long. It's just literally I load them up, play them for 10-15 minutes. If you've seen my videos, you know what I do. 10-15 minutes just to see how they are, and that's it. I do own an Xbox Series S, and I do own a Switch, and when I get time I do play on those. I mentioned Ultimate Team earlier. When I was playing that, I was probably playing for at least an hour or maybe even 2 a day, because I had this compulsion to go on and earn cards to earn players to build my decks, if you want to use that analogy. And I have games like Robocop, which I'm about halfway through, and Super Mario Odyssey on the Switch, which I'm probably about a third of the way through. And I played them quite a bit in winter, but since summer's come around, I haven't really been playing them because I've got a million other things I need to be doing outside. But yes, so at the moment, less than an hour a week. I'd like it to be a bit more than that, really. There's no good reason other than just having other things to do. Nothing is actually stopping me from playing games. Question 3 is, do you think games can be educational? And the answer is categorically yes, right? I think, especially modern games. So I'm going to pull out Minecraft as an example. That's my kids know quite a bit about geology, for example. I think the physics obviously questionable, but it does cover geology in there. Even at maybe it's a basic level, but the kids know this stuff, and things like it's got redstone in there, which is kind of basic logic gates and stuff. So I think that's quite educational, and if the kids get into that, that's brilliant stuff as well. Also want to call out games with historical settings. So I mentioned Red Dead Redemption earlier. Well, Red Dead Redemption 2, for example, has things like the Pinkertons in it, which I wouldn't have known about, but they are part of American history. And I think there's a crazy inventor guy who's loosely based on Nikola Tesla and that sort of stuff. So the stories that the games tell can help educate as well. And then I've also pulled out as an example games like Settlers and SimCity, because although they aren't based in the real world or anything, they do make you have to think about resource management and all those sort of balancing factors that you might need to do that do apply to real life in some way. So I think games definitely can be educational and are educational. Obviously we had some edutainment games as well back in the day. The earliest one I can think of there is Granny's Garden on the BBC, which used to terrify me at school. I don't know if it'd terrify me now, but there is a chance it would. So maybe I'll dig that one out sometime. Question 4. What don't I like about video games? This is pretty tough, right? It's looking for the negative, and I generally try not to look for the negative, but I do find a couple of things a bit frustrating. So when the game's very grindy, like where you have to walk what seems like miles in a game for no good reason, or you have to keep going back and forth between locations just to pick things up and swap them around, I find that a bit frustrating and tedious. The pay DLC type stuff, so like I've mentioned Ultimate Team earlier, I've never paid for anything for that because I refuse to. But if you go online and try and play against anyone who's been spending money on it, they've got a massive advantage over you because they've been buying all the best things, whereas you're sort of trying to work your way through and getting them for free or through playing the game. So I'm not too keen on that. And then the final thing on there is actually I don't really like playing online very often because I'm not very good at games, and I think I always end up going on and just getting smashed at no matter what I do. I did play FIFA Ultimate Team online a bit, and it was moderately successful. I would win perhaps 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 games, so that wasn't too bad, but I still hated it when I got absolutely smashed. It wasn't a lot of fun. So I used to avoid online on that as much as possible as well. It would only be really to go on to earn a player or something. It wouldn't be any other reason. Question 5. How much do you spend on games? So it does vary. It ebbs and flows a bit, but generally not very much. My general thing is I'm buying games for the Commodore 64. That's mostly what I do. I would probably just be picking up games that I felt were good value or games that I specifically wanted for my collection. Good example. I'll show you. I just recently got from Jace at Retro Games. He had them on, and I'm really chuffed with them. I picked up The Goonies and Hero. 2 games that I've wanted for quite some time. They weren't cheap. I think they probably came in about 30 quid for the 2. But so I bought those because I wanted them. Whereas a lot of the games and some of the ones in my collection that you see the videos of are ones that I've picked up pretty cheap because they're not necessarily good games or well regarded games, but I like to have them in the collection. I like to play them. I like to understand what they are. So I'd say probably on average it's probably something like 15 quid a month, maybe less, with the odd peak when I buy something that I'm particularly looking for. There's been a couple of exceptions. So I went to Revival, when was that, May I think it was, and I probably spent like 100 quid there. I picked up a couple of new releases. I picked up this one. It's turned a bit of a pickups video, isn't it? This one, TX 1696 for the Spectrum Next, and that was a pretty big ticket purchase. It's the only physical game I own for the Next, and I think that was 30. No, I think it might have even been 40 quid. I can't remember exactly. But I bought that to support the developers, really, and it does look like a good game. I've barely played it, though. I need to sort that out at some point. And I bought some new Commodore 64 releases, which I've just started to put some videos out on, actually, at Zap, which was in this month, August. And probably spent 100 quid there as well. So that's the sort of peaks, really. I think otherwise it is literally probably 10 to 15 quid, maybe a little bit more if it's something special that I've been looking for. But I've probably got enough, C64 games. I do like to support the developers of new games. So there's if you're not aware, there are a lot of new games being made for the Commodore 64 still, which is kind of amazing. Most of those games are available digitally via itch.io, and normally they're only a couple of quid. So if I haven't got anything physical that I'm particularly after, and that's probably good, you can see my shelves are a bit stacked. I haven't got room for any more, really. I can just buy the the digital ones, and support the developers still, which I do like to do because they're putting a lot of time into making these games and they're not making a lot of money for it. So it's a real sort of hobby thing, and it's nice to chuck them a coffee or whatever for their troubles. Right, what's the next? Number 6. What is your favourite games console? Now this is pretty tricky, I guess. I spend most of my time playing the Commodore 64, as I mentioned, and I do have the Series S and the Switch. And I think realistically the Series S is the best one I've got, right? It's the most powerful machine. It's got a massive library of games. It's backwards compatible with lots of other games as well. So the right answer is probably that one. But I actually preferred the Xbox One, which I had before, because I actually had a CD drive for that one, so I could get physical media, whereas the Series S doesn't have a CD, DVD drive, so everything's digital on that one. But in terms of nostalgia, it would be the Super Nintendo, which is quite a popular answer, I think. But for me, there's a few games for that one which I still love now, and they sort of launched me straight back to the early 90s playing with my friends, and that'd be like Super Mario World or Super Tennis or Super Mario Kart, lots of supers, Ghouls and Ghosts, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Star Wars, Pilot Wings, all of those games. I just loved playing them back in the day, and I don't think I've had that attachment to any other console in the same way. Although I did love the PlayStation when that first came out. That was big. It's weird that I went on to Xbox from PlayStation, really. I should have stayed PS2, shouldn't I? Right, number 7. What is your favourite video game? So if you ask me this question tomorrow, it'd probably be a different answer, because there's 3 that it quite often fluctuates between. Those 3 are Red Dead Redemption 2, Super Mario World, and Super Mario Odyssey. I've got a feeling Super Mario Wonder might end up on this list as well, and it'll be a choice of 4. Out of the 3 today, I'm going to pick Red Dead Redemption 2, because that game just absolutely grabbed me. It was one of those that I was engrossed in the story. I enjoyed the challenges. I did all of the side challenges. I used to go out hunting. I would log in to go fishing. Particularly if I was looking after the kids when they were younger, rather than sort of going around shooting people, I'd log in and just go and do some fishing or something chill while they sat and played. So yeah, I'm going to pick that one today, but you ask me tomorrow, I could well say Super Mario World or Super Mario Odyssey, because they were amazing games that I've got a lot of love for too. If you want to ask about the Commodore 64 specifically, which is obviously the system that I generally talk about, I would pick probably Hawkeye for nostalgic reasons. That's a game that I do intend to do a video about soon. I like Hawkeye a lot, but it's just got a lot of nostalgia value for me. It's probably not the best gameplay out of all of the games. It's got a lot of good things about it for sure. but there probably are better games as such. For example, Mayhem in Monsterland is probably as close to a Nintendo Entertainment System game you're going to get on the C64. So yeah. Number 8. What is your favourite video game movie? Now, I'm going to go for Ready Player One. It's not a video game movie as such, as in it's not a movie about a video game, but it is very much set around video games. And if you've read the book's even more so. But I loved it. I loved the book. I enjoyed the film. I've watched the film several times. I don't think the film is quite as good as the book, but it is still very worth a watch. If you're not happy with that as an answer, if it needs to be a movie based on a video game, that way round, then I'll probably just go for the latest Tomb Raider film, which I know probably not everyone liked, but I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was good adventure. Nothing too challenging, nothing too taxing, and nothing overly sexualized, but felt really in line with sort of the newer Lara Croft games. So yeah, I'm going to call that one out. And incidentally, by the way, I would love to see a movie made in the Monkey Island universe, some sort of story there. I think that would be great fun. I kind of in my head it would be a Monty Python type film because of the humour from the game, but who knows? Maybe they'll make that one day. Right, number 9, favourite video game character. This is quite tough, right? I don't know if you can see back there. I've got Sonic, I've got Mario up there. I've got quite a bit of Mario stuff. I've got Pac-Man, and all of those sort of iconic characters, which they just, they resonate. Nostalgia. That's all it is, isn't it? But I think realistically, the one that I've cared about the most, I suppose, would be Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption 2. I think maybe it's because you get to make some of the choices around his character and you shape the character a little bit in the game, but for me, I think the investment that you put into that game and into that character really made him important to you. And I don't want to make any spoilers, but that game was pretty emotional for some of those reasons. Mind you, if you don't know already what you're doing, get on with it, play it. So I'm going to pick Arthur Morgan, but big shout outs to Mario and Sonic and Pac-Man and the like. Also, by the way, like when I was a kid, Jack the Nipper, I used to play Jack the Nipper 2 on the C64 a lot, and I enjoyed that. He was like a naughty kid, basically running around, shooting darts and tripping people up and whatever, and yeah, quite enjoyed that. Final question, number 10, least favourite type of game. I think there's 2, and one of them's a bit unfair, but when it's a big sprawling platform adventure game, I don't know if you'd call it a Metroidvania, possibly not, but maybe, where you are walking around a vast map and you need to either hold in your head where everything is in that map because you're going to need to move back and forth between them a lot, or you need to draw it out. I struggle with those because I'm not going to draw them out, and there's only so much I can hold in my head. I'm getting old. So there's them. I wouldn't say I dislike them because generally platformy type games I enjoy, but I find those ones a bit tough, let's say. And then the other ones are text adventures. Now, I like reading. I read lots of books, so I don't have a problem with reading, but the text adventures themselves, I think what I find difficult is the puzzles are generally quite obtuse, and knowing the right commands to type into those parsers can be tough as well. So I haven't played that many of them, so it might be an unfair criticism, but I think generally they're not the sort of thing I want to be on. I don't really want to be playing those too often, which is a shame because I've got a ton in that collection over there that I'm going to have to play at some point. The one I am interested in playing is Rats, actually, which is based on the James Herbert book. That might be interesting, but the rest of them, yeah, I think there might be a bit of a chore, to be honest. So that's it. 10 questions, all done, wrapped up. Thanks for sticking with me if you've stuck with me. Hope it wasn't too boring. I will nominate 2 people. I'm not going to say who it is now. I'll put them in in the comments, and if you've got time to do them, that'd be great. Yeah, let me know if you disagree, agree, hate me for anything, especially the FIFA stuff. And yeah, look forward to hearing from you. Cheers.